Good morning, scholars. Today we're going to continue our way through Forest Homeric Greek, looking at lines 148 through 157, the first of three segments of Achilles' speech, where he begins to lose his temper and retorts even more angrily at Agamemnon. Ton da hupodra edon, prosepe podaso kusaki lius. O moiane dean, epe we menecedaleopron. Postis toi profron, wepesen pete diakaion. E hodon et elmenai, e andrasen vipsi makestai. Uga egotro on hanek e luton aik me taon. Dupo make somenos. Epe ute moi aitioe sen. Uga popot e mas bus elesan ude men hipus. Ude pot in ptitie erebola ke potiainere. Carpone de le sant, epe e malapola metaxu ureate skioenta, dalasate huegeesa. Okay, so the first line, ton da hupodra widon, prosepe podaso kusaki lius. Now, hupodra widon is a standard formulaic phrase which refers to a scowl. So scowling, looking from beneath the eyebrows, or with a scowl, as Cunliffe says. So hupodra widon. And widon is, of course, the second aorist participle, masculine singular, from oida. And we have here the principal parts of oida. First, the roots, id, aid, oid. And you see the digammas there. And so aidon, saw, is from ewadon. And then you have these forms of the subjunctive, optative, imperative, infinitive, and participle. Ido, idoime, ide, idain, idon. And then the future, strangely, asomai, shall know. And then the pluperfect, heide, heidein, knew. But here we're dealing with, this is the participle, how it looks in Attic. You see with the epsilon iota, eidos, eiduia, eidos. That is the perfect participle. But here we have the second aorist participle from that form. Idon. You see it right there. So ton da hupo widon prosepe podaso kusaki lius. O moi anai de ein epe we menake daleofron. So omoi is just a exclamation like, ah, me, oh gosh. And then anaide, hey, is shamelessness, effrontery. And we see that this is an accusative, and it's an accusative of respect. And the accusative respect, Smythe 1600, to verbs denoting a state and to adjectives. An accusative may be added to denote a thing in respect to which the verb or adjective is limited. So, A, the accusative usually expresses a local relation or the instrument. The word restricted by the accusative usually denotes like or similar to, good or bad, better, bad or worse, a physical or mental quality or an emotion. So I'm going to read that again because there's a lot there. The accusative usually expresses a local relation or an instrument. The word restricted by the accusative usually denotes like or similar to, good or better, bad or worse, a physical or a mental quality or an emotion. So here we see an de an epiwe mane, and epiwe mane, as we're about to see, is vocative, and it is perfect passive participle, clothed with respect, or by means, instrument, with shamelessness. Okay? And so, o moi anai de ein epiwe meneke daleophron. So, epiwe menos on is a perfect participle from epiwe nume, which means clothed or outfitted, and it's passive. And then with the epsilon ending, that is a vocative. And likewise, ke da leophron is vocative, cunning of heart or wily. Here, Cunliffe says it probably rather means greedy or self-seeking. Okay? And again, the accusative usually expresses a local relation or an instrument, and that's what we have here, an instrument with respect to a mental quality. So, oi, moi, anai de ein, epiwe menake dale ophron. So the whole line is just Achilles' insult thrown at Agamemnon in an extended vocative preceded by the exclamatory "O moi." Post his toi prophron wepesin petetaiakaion. Now this post just introduces the whole question, and it is, of course, the first member in this column, the interrogative, direct or indirect, meaning how. Post tis, how shall someone, how shall anyone. Okay? So Smythe 2642. Questions which cannot be answered by yes or no are introduced by interrogative pronouns, adjectives, or adverbs, usually without any interrogative particle, and may have any form of a simple sentence. So their first example is, what then do I urge you to do? Te un kelu o poesai. And then the second, how far distance from here is the enemy? Poson apesten enthude to stratauma. So we see that te, in the first case, what, and poson, how far, are our interrogative pronouns or adjectives or adverbs that start off the question. So pos tis toi, and for the accent, the tis, though it has the accent, it has taken that accent from the enclitic toi. So pos tis, how shall anyone, I asked you, that's over translating the toi, of course, how shall anyone? Pos tis toi prophron wepesin pe te akaion. So prophronos, means with alacrity or zeal. And this is something that very often occurs in Greek, where you actually have a adjective that's serving functionally as an adverb. And you can look that up in Smythe as a little puzzle to yourself. But epos is neuter, meaning something said, i.e. an utterance, a speech, a command. So wepesen petetai, the dative is the object of petetai. And from Smythe 1464, the dative may be used as the sole complement of many verbs that are usually transitive in English, such as verbs meaning to obey, to serve, to pardon, to trust, to advise, to command. Now this whole section of Smythe, where he talks about the verbs that take dative objects, where if you were just, you know, being thoughtless and thinking in English terms, you might expect an accusative. But no, there's a whole groups of verbs that take a dative, just like there are likewise verbs that take genitive objects, and one needs to acquaint oneself with these categories by reviewing this bit of Smythe's. So post testoi proferon wepesen pe te tai akayon e hodon etel menai e andrasen wipsi makestai. So hodos, of course, hodu, and there's a mistake there because that's actually feminine, is a journey, a voyage, or an expedition. So hodon etemenai, who shall obey you to go on an expedition or to fight. And so here we see etemenai and makestai are both have the same syntactical relation to petetai in the previous sentence, and that is to say, a simple infinitive in Homer may express a result as well as purpose, as hosta is seldom used there in Homer in the sense of so as. It thus follows many expressions which would not allow it in Attic Greek. So what he's saying here is this is an example where the work of result is being done not by hosta plus the infinitive, but the simple infinitive itself. And this is something Homer can do, but Attic would not be allowed to do. So makestai, of course, is to fight, and the person you fight is in the dative, see Smythe 2:6-2, and we be is an adverb meaning violently or mightily. So a hodon etemenai, e andrasen wipsi makestai. Uga ego pro on henek eluton aik me taon. So heneka is a preposition with the genitive, and here it's postpositive. That means it follows its object. So for the sake of, on account of, throw on henek. And eluton is a second aorist poetic from erkomai, and you see the stems erk, elt, elut, elut, and one should most certainly learn these principal parts. They're very important, the principal parts of erkomai. And then, of course, throes, throon are the Trojans, and thros was Thros, the mythical founder of Troy. And then finally, aik me taon is genitive plural masculine of aik me tes, a warrior or armed spearman. So uga ego throon henak eluton aik me taon, dupo make somenos, epe ute moi aitioe sen. So diupo is here, and aitios, ita, means blameworthy or to blame. So moi aitioi, blameworthy, to me. Epe ute, and as we'll see, ute means not at all, asen, are they. So the dative, reading Smythe 1499. Adjectives, adverbs, and substantives of kindred meaning with the foregoing verbs, that is the verbs that I talked about earlier that take the dative, these adjectives and adverbs and substantives that have the same type of meaning, they take the dative to define their meaning. So here, going back to those verbs, another one of them are verbs to benefit, to help, to injure, to please, to displease, to be friendly, hostile, to blame, be angry, threaten, or envy. So here, this notion of aitios can trigger the dative, moi aitioie si, ute moi aitioie se. Now, so like I said, ute, not at all, are they. So here we have the various forms of eme. Eme, este, esmen, este, ese. And so you see ese, and remember the two-syllable forms here are all enclitic, so that accent from ese has jumped back onto itioi, so itioi has two accents. Now, and you get the movable nu, as explained in Smythe 135. Movable nu is usually written at the end of clauses and at the end of a verse in poetry. And otherwise, you can consult that yourself. So, diu po make somenos, epe utemoi itioie se. Make somenos is a future participle, and we should all understand now what a future participle can often do, and that is, it can express the purpose or object. The future and sometimes the present participle is used to denote a purpose, especially after verbs denoting to come, to go, to send, to summon. So we've seen that previously, where Hogar el teto a sepene a sakayon, lu somenos te dugatra, peron te aperesi apoina, while the lu somenos te dugatra tells us why Chryses came to the ships of the Achaeans in order to ransom his daughter. So here we have Achilles saying, Ugar egotro on hanek eluton aik meta on diupo make somenos. I didn't come here to fight, okay? Not on account of the Trojan warriors did I come here to fight. So this is a very important structure to be able to recognize and to see how it often coordinates this future infinitive of purpose with a verb of motion. So as our two examples show, I've marked elte and eluton in green. Okay. Uga popot emas bus elesan udeme hippus. Bus, of course, is an ox or bull or cow. Check out Smythe 275 D2. It's a rather strange accusative plural. And then elasan is from elauno, to drive off or steal cattle. And those are important principal parts to learn, so that's a good verb to study. And then hippos, hippu, of course, is a horse or a mare. So ugar popote masbus elesan udemen hippus. Udepot in pitié erebo laki bro di anere. So Pitié, of course, is the homeland of Achilles. And eribolakos means having rich clods of ground that is fertile. So a very epic type of adjective. Likewise, bo tianera, feeding men rich in food. And that's a compound of bosko, which means to feed, and aner, which is, of course, man. So, udepot in pitié erebolaki bo di anere. And here is a map, so you get an idea of, you see Pythia there at the top, that's where Achilles is from, up in the northern part of Greece. And we have the other locations of the various other heroes. And in the red, you see where Troy, the site of Troy, was/is. Okay. Carpon adolescent epe e malapola metaxu. So carpos, carpu, ha, is used collectively for the fruits of the earth, the fruit or vines, crops in general. And adolescent is adolescento, a deponent from deleomai, which means to ravage or destroy, or damage. Epe emala. So here Denniston tells us that a has sunk to the mere level of a suffix and is used in a manner similar to da. Epe is used by Homer in combinations such as epe epolu and epe emala and epe ekai. And metazu is an adverb meaning in the space separating two objects, between or intervening. So epe emala pola metaxu ureates gioenta dalasa tewegeasa. So an uros, neuter, is a mountain or a hill. So, and skioes are means on which shadows fall or play. Anyone who has enjoyed a day looking at a mountain range, you see the shadows of the clouds playing on the sides of the range as the day goes by. So a very picturesque epithet here. Urea ski o enta. And then of the sea, hekees esa, with the digamma wekeesa, meaning sounding, resounding, echoing of the sea. So urea teskio enta talasate wekeesa. So our whole thing again. Ton da hupo udra edon prosepe podasokus akilius. O moyane de an epewe meneke dale ofron. Postes toi profron wepesen peteta akayon. E hodon e temenai e andrasen wipsima kestai. Uga egotro on henek e luton aik me taon. Du pomake somenos, epe te moi aitioesen, uga popot emas bus elasan udemen hippus, ude pot in pitie erebo lake bro dianere, carpone de le sant, epe malapola metaxu, urea teskioenta, talasa te wegeasa. Okay, so that's the first part of the Achilles' answer to Agamemnon as the temperature of this dispute rises higher and higher with each exchange. Here, fittingly, we have a nice picture of Eris, the goddess of strife, holding the golden apple along with the three goddesses who get involved in the dispute for the apple and who will subsequently be at odds or are at odds in our poem, the Iliad. Okay, so have a good day. I look forward to seeing you soon to complete the next two portions of this marvelous speech. Work hard. Bye-bye.